I'd upload, to be honest with you. There we go. We're talking Seahawks and Sounders and the Mariners. All right, let's get to it. So you're asking what happened? Well, I mean, the Seahawks, if you've been out doing your thing, the Seahawks are a completely different team now. So they released Tyler Lockett. They traded DK Metcalf and Geno Smith to start the free agency. Which actually the free agency starts tomorrow, but on Monday and Tuesday, maybe being Tuesday, you can go ahead and um, it's called the legal tampering period. That is, you can talk with players and negotiate contracts. So long gone, the Seahawks are in terms of it. It doesn't look like the same team on the offensive side of the ball, and so as I said, Tyler Lockett, that wasn't the biggest surprise because Tyler had talked about, he knew that this would be his last year with the Seahawks. It wasn't a big secret. So the question was whether would the Seahawks and him come to an agreement in terms of renegotiating his contract. Well, he was a, and you knew something had to happen because it was though he had 1 year left in his contract, Tyler Lockett, he was a $30 million cap hit. So that just was never going to work. And that's an interesting note. So y'all wonder with the cap hit, you hear about that. Well, that's the salary cap. And what teams will do with players to renegotiate their contracts, and they'll give them a big signing bonus and then take the money, the back end, put the rest of the contract on the back end. So if you sign for $100 million, a team might say we'll give you a $25 million signing bonus, and then we'll give you another $25, 25 million for 4 years. But what we're gonna do is we'll pay you the 25 million. We'll give you another 20 million a year for 3 years. Well, for two, let's say 15 million. So then you're at 45 million, and then for each of the 3 years, and then the rest of it, the 30 million, we'll put that on the back end, and that'll be the team's cap hit. Well, when it gets to that fourth year, now you got to either negotiate or the team is going to release you. That's why you wonder, well, why do the players want to negotiate these contracts? It's a business. Nothing personal, but it's just a business. And that's what you saw just in terms of Lockett. When it came down to Geno Smith and the Seahawks were never close. It's confirmed that Geno wanted the 30 million that the Seahawks offered Geno, which was a going rate. He said thank you, but no thank you. Now I wasn't in the room, but this is what sources are saying. So with that, um, it turns out that basically Geno wanted to go somewhere else. And guess where he ends up? Yeah, the Los Angeles Raiders with Pete Carroll. All right. So the Seahawks now don't have a quarterback. So in that, they end up getting, so you kind of say, well, so they got a third round pick in the upcoming draft, number 92nd overall. And then the Seahawks trade DK Metcalf to the Pittsburgh Steelers, second round pick, number 52 overall in the upcoming draft. And really, again, DK just did not want to be here. He had another year. Both him and Geno had one more year on their contracts, and both were like, hey, you know what? We just don't want to be there. And so the Seahawks were now gutted on that side, got some draft picks for it. And then Right before they made their big signing, the Seahawks made two big signings on the defense, which I think they needed to make. That is, they signed Ernest Jones and also Jaron Reed. They needed to sign Ernest Jones because they brought him over. He was with the Rams. Jones was with Tennessee. Seahawks bring him during halfway through the season. They get rid of Tyrell Dodson, the other linebacker. They give Tyrese Knight a chance to start, and the Seahawks run defense turns out to actually be one of the best. And that, to me, was the biggest signing that they had to make. They had to get those two. Now, sure, Jaron Reed is long on the tooth and everything else, but he's a leader of that team. And Jones is absolutely the in-the-box linebacker that you need. And when I mean in the box, that is that he can play the run and he can drop back a little bit, not a lot, about 10, 11 yards, and cover tight ends and short routes. And they needed to get him. So then the Seahawks go out and they say, okay, we need a quarterback. And they get Sam Donaldson. $100 million for 3 years. My thoughts, I'll give you the numbers. He was 87th overall. That's the grade that he received. 4,500 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 35 completions of 20 plus. And again, he had his best quarterback. His best year last year. Well, I don't think he's going to hit those numbers again. I think he reached the top, he reached the pinnacle, and then so if he can stay above those numbers, if he can give you another 3,800, maybe give you at least 30 touchdowns, I think you're good because the Seahawks are going to be a run-oriented offense. That's why they hired Clint Kubiak to come in and run the zone read offense. When you zone read, what it is running off the tackles. And I think Sam Darnold is one of those quarterbacks. He is a game manager. He can manage the game, and I think he is also a quarterback in which he can win some games for you. I don't know if he'll win the Super Bowl for you, but I'm sure he's one of those good quarterbacks, but he won't lose the game for you. So he was like top 10 last year. And then the other move that the Seahawks made was interesting is they signed Josh Jones, 1-year contract worth $4.7 million. Now, Jones, he made 24 starts over a 5-year span and over 3 different teams. He's 6'5", 339. He was with the Ravens last year and just 46 offensive starts. I think this one is more of a backup. But the question, he's got a chance. I think because right now the Seahawks don't have anybody on the left side. Satua Lamea is there. Lake Tomlinson, who's now rumored to be going to the Texans, started there, played all 17 games. So you're bringing in Jones. The question is he a starter? And just have to see health-wise. I think if he's healthy, he can at least challenge Satua Lamea for that left guard. And also the Seahawks will probably, there's no doubt they'll draft a guard either in the 3rd or 4th round because that's just, they need more offensive line help. So I can't say that Josh Jones is going to be your starting left guard. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Because if you look at the Seahawks offensive line from last year or what's left, right? So your right tackle is Abe Lucas, and he looks solid, and he's been posting Instagram that, you know, he's had a really good off season. He was only getting back into shape last year after missing the first half of the season. So I think he's solid there as your right tackle. Your right guard, Anthony Bradford or Christian Haynes, one of them has to step up. And I don't think you can go and play, the two-headed monster at right guard again as you did last year. With a new kind of blocking scheme, with a new type of run game, your hope is that one of them will step up. And again, I think in the back end, the Seahawks have a lot of picks. I'll go over those. You might again take a flyer in the late round of your draft. Center, I think you're fine with Oluwatimi, and you have to see. I think I don't know. Jalen Sandell is the other one. Oluwatimi came on, um, and I think he's good. I don't know if he's great. And so, because of his size, he's powerful. Remember, he came out of Michigan, was the best offensive lineman in college football on both sides of the ball. Maybe this run blocking, the running on the outside might work for them. Might work for Oluwatumi because he's smaller. Maybe he can get out there and get to those tackles. So again, your left tackle, Charles Cross, solid, probably your best offensive lineman last year, and he's in the final year of his contract. The other one, your needs. Your only wide receiver that's really I think is good is obviously Jackson Smith-Njigba. He went to the Pro Bowl, and he is a solid receiver, but he's not one of those that's going to extend the defense. He's not a DK. So every offense, you need that speed burner, somebody that can run down and stretch the defense and create space so that your tight ends, your Jackson Smith-Njigba can come in there and do the 15, 20-yard route. So the Seahawks, I think they will sign a free agent. Stephon Diggs, if you ask me, would be good. But I believe they will sign a big name wide receiver that's still out there. And to me, Stephon Diggs would be a real nice fit with Jackson Smith-Njigba because you still need two, right? You still need another big name, just like at wide receiver. And I said you need a speedy receiver there. And then Jake Bobo is your other one. I just don't know. I don't know if Jake Bobo's not a starter in my book. I just don't see him being a starter game in, game out. He's a possession receiver. I think he works well. I think he can handle that. Third down, those kinds of things. But as far as coming in and being your everyday starter, I just don't see that in terms of Jake Bobo. Good receiver, but solid. But for me, I think you need another one. So, the other, just a couple of the other players the Seahawks released here was Roy Robinson Harris is the other one. Draymond Jones was released, and also Rayshawn Jenkins. So that was good. All those players really weren't in the cards for the team. George Fant is the other offensive lineman they released, and so that's why I keep harping that they're thin on the offensive line. All right, now remaining Seahawk free agents: Travis Gibson, Draymond Jones. They'd have to renegotiate his contract. He's a big cap hit. Leonard Hankins, Lakin Tomlinson, he's gone. Stephon Forsyth, they're probably going to re-sign him. Farrell Brown, the price has to be right. And then the other ones I would say, yeah, Cody White is exclusive right free agent. I think they'll probably keep him. I don't think he's going to ask for a whole lot of money. Jalen Darden, another wide receiver, he's restricted. Team might wait and see what's out there. And yeah, I think that kind of is where the Seahawks are now. So what will happen coming up here is, we'll have to see because this is day 3. Yesterday, after signing Donald, Sam Donald, if you will, they went out and signed, as I said, Josh Jones. So they've got a lot of needs, the Seahawks do. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to use the free agency the whole time, right? Because they've got the draft. So what they're looking at is who do you go with the draft? You look at your need. Is there greater need in the draft? When you look at your need, where can you get that immediate impact, in the draft or free agency? I think wide receiver, it's a little bit of both. I think you pick up a wide receiver in the second round. I would say pick up an offensive lineman in the Seahawks have the 18th overall pick, but they've got a lot of picks here coming up. So there's a money game that comes to it as well, because you pick up players in the draft, you have them for 5 years, 4 years, and then you can renegotiate, but it's a money thing. Then you can spend rookie contracts. They're low, and so with that, you've got a chance to spend your money elsewhere, and that's why you would take a look at, can we get that quality player in the draft, lock him up for 3 years, 4 years, and then renegotiate. And so, it's funny with the 18th pick overall, and then people are like, well, where the Seahawks draft? Well, I'll give you a couple. Uh, you know, Ken Ken Grant, defensive lineman from Michigan, 331 pounds, might be someone you can snag right there in that 18th pick. Another one is the high on this Nick Amanwari, safety from South Carolina. Now remember, your safeties right now are for the Seahawks. You got Julian Love, and a shutdown safety there would not be, Kobe Bryant's a free safety, but the Seahawks sometimes, and Julian Love. But if you can get Mwanuri, I think he is. That's a really good pick for you, because the guy runs a 4.38 40-yard dash, 43-inch vertical, 11-foot 6-inch broad jump. And another guy, if you're thinking about quarterbacks, I don't think they're not going to go for Jalen Milroy anymore. Donovan Jackson, Ohio State, is a big athletic guard that he's got good length at Ohio State, so he's used to big games. So there's one that you might pick there. Also, Tyler Booker from Alabama. So either one of those, as I said, they need an offensive lineman. I would take a look at that. And Jahad Campbell, linebacker, is another one to take a look at. And I think you're fine on linebackers, but you know, he posted 117 tackles playing at Alabama. And so he could give Tyrese Knight a run for his money. Maybe a good backup, because you definitely wouldn't want to pick him. I don't think they'll pick him in the first round. Probably somewhere in the third round here would be a good move. And what else? Yeah. That's kind of, where I think the Seahawks are headed in terms of what they need to do. One I'll give you this Gray Zabel, offensive lineman from North Dakota State. Everybody, is saying that he's a good pick. I don't know. And I only say that because he played for North Dakota State. And while he can play all five positions, one of the issues for me, the knock I've seen is that he's a little bit slow on his feet. So the pass rush, right? If you've got a bull rush interior person coming at him, he's slow to react. I'm not sure that's a good thing. But his run block as well. So I think that would be a gamble there. But again, we'll just have to wait and see just in terms of, where this goes. All right, well, it looks like we're up on the break. So there you go. That kind of my Seahawks there. We'll kind of have more video because I think next week we're going to have some interviews. We're waiting to get word on when Pete and John will talk. And when we do that, we'll have that video for you. But for right now, we're going to go on break. Then we're going to come up with the legend, Peter Hattrip, and talk Seattle Sounders.
The Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update. You can listen to us in your car 24/7 anytime by downloading the free TuneIn app. Once you do, search Rainier Avenue Radio. And remember, do not curse out your fellow drivers. This has been your Rainier Avenue Radio Traffic Update.
How is the air quality in your neighborhood? Do you feel comfortable breathing the outdoor air? We want to hear from you. The Puget Sound Clean Air Agency is hosting a community workshop in King County to shape the comprehensive climate action plan. And your input matters. Share your concerns, ideas, and lived experience with air pollution in your community. No expertise needed, just your voice. Register now at pscleanair.gov/CPRG. Participants may be eligible for reimbursement for their time. Be part of the solution. See you there.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Queen Bree, inviting you to come join me on Clean Greens Living. Broadcasted Tuesdays, 12:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. On Clean Greens Living, we talk farming, community, and ways to being healthy. So come join me and let's discuss ways to create a healthier you and a healthier community.
Hello, listener. What's important to you about what's going on in your community? Are you interested? Are you concerned? In any case, I invite you to tune into my show, Seattle Here and Now, on RainierAvenueRadio.org. Why? I will be covering a wide range of topics important to you and impacting the community. Each show will have a special guest or guests to share with you information on a variety of subjects that are happening here and now in Seattle. I promise I will work hard to make my show informative, interesting, and entertaining. Be sure to listen to Seattle Here and Now on RainierAvenueRadio.world.
This is a Rainier Avenue Radio message on fentanyl awareness in our community.
We need to be a community in order to solve this problem. When I hear fentanyl, like you said, Tony, there's a lot of people who don't want to talk about it. And there is so much negative stigma that is attached to fentanyl, and it's this othering of the community right up until it is their family member, which is increasingly happening. And I hate that a lot of people just refuse to engage in these conversations until it's too late for their family member. Secondary trauma is something that we also hold space for and have to live with as well. This community has, I think, experienced a disproportionate amount of impact from just drug use in general.
This has been a Rainier Avenue Radio message on fentanyl.
Rainier Avenue Radio, your community radio station will provide you with more information. Rainier Avenue Radio.
Oh, all right. Here we go. We are back. Ready to talk some soccer with the legend Peter Hattrip. Yeah, because last we talked, the Sounders were struggling, and next thing you know, they're this offensive juggernaut. So who else better to talk about scoring than one of the most prolific scorers in Washington State history? I always forget that he was a basketball player at Seattle Prep as well, but also at SPU is where he made his mark. And then he did a little dabbling here and there in professional soccer. So this man knows a little bit about scoring. Peter,
We're
what's
hoping to
going
see,
on with you?
you
How
know,
you doing?
it's I think what everybody's envisioned. Other than De La Vega going down, which is disappointing, but Georgie taking people on and causing problems. The team being a little bit more direct and more penetrating, and then finishing the chances. They had similar amount of chances in some of the earlier games. They just didn't finish as many. But it's fun and exciting. They look direct and they look to cause problems and didn't settle for going backwards or sideways when they could play forward. Scored a few of those goals and looked good.
All right, well let's break down a couple of those goals, and MLS actually does a pretty good job, so we're gonna pick this up, and I was actually impressed by how long they showed the video. So we're gonna start with this one. I don't know, can you see that one?
LAFC now bringing a little pressure.
There we go. Yep.
This is easy for LAFC because
All right, so I'm going to stop just because it's so awesome when we have you in the room. So this is kind of the build up before the goal, and I'm going to show the full length, bring it back, and maybe you can tell us what we're seeing in this movement.
everything's in front of them. At some point, you can see the assistant coach Prucky from Seattle. He's begging for a run in behind. Kosariense is behind Smolyakov. Kosariense turning. Oh, and scoring! What a goal! What a moment! Kalani Kosariense. He's on a short-term loan from Tacoma Defiance. The MLS Next Pro player opening the scoring at Lumen Field. 1-0. I mean, right on cue. Here we are talking about it. I'm watching Prucky, the assistant coach from Seattle, begging someone from his team to make a vertical run in behind. Very methodical.
Okay, Peter, what are we seeing? Because here he is here, right? What do we? So we got a 4-back lineup. We have 2 here.
Well, I think the first thing you see is really good movement from Ferrer to get some space and get out, because other than that, it looks pretty stagnant there. He does a really good job, and then Frenzy just takes a gamble and goes, and we don't see that many vertical runs out of the Sounders other than Jordan. And now somebody looking to get in behind. And once he does, he doesn't go down into the corner and turn around and go back. He's going to try and turn the corner and go to the goal. When they finally cut him off, he hits the brakes and still doesn't look to go back. He's still in attack mode. So, maybe a little bit of youthful vigor and excitement, it pays off sometimes. But great movement early on, great ball in behind. Guys don't want to keep making those runs if they don't get the ball. So all in all, it's a really good goal.
All right, we'll take one more. Take a look here, and I like this. And I mean, the fact that he's looking here shows some maturity, not just running right and not getting offside. The fact that you can actually see him looking and waiting and has a presence of mind to see where the back line is there is a pretty mature play, correct, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those spots where we always say, unless the guy that's passing to you fakes, you should never get offside there because you're looking across. You can see every single player as you look at if you look across the line, and he does. He's instead of staring at the ball, he's looking across the line and then trusting that Jesus will play it, and then off he goes.
It's like when the wide receiver gets called for offsides, right? In football.
He just lines up offside. Yeah.
What in the world? Okay. We'll let this roll up one more time.
Perfectly. The problem here for LAFC, Smolikov thinks that the three in the back has stepped their back line. Aaron Long drops. He keeps Kosa Rienzi onside, and then it's all about that individual moment.
I mean, he puts the brakes on here, and that's Aaron Long. So that's not somebody who just, pulled up from 7-Eleven after getting a Slurpee. I mean, this guy.
He's about to fall down like he left 7-Eleven with something more than a Slurpee.
An extra 10.
Hitting, stopping quickly is an overrated skill too. You look at some of the best players in the history of the game, Cruyff, Messi, they hit the brakes just as fast as they hit the gas, and that's it's a talent, and then he keeps his composure.
And having the calmness and composure in the final third. There were question marks whether or not this kid could play at the MLS level in his second start for Seattle.
Are you familiar with him? I know you're familiar with a lot of the young guys. I mean, you coached Kellen Rose, so is this a player you heard of, or?
Yeah, I've seen him a little bit, but not a lot, to be fair. But he's got pace. He's not only speed but quickness. Unafraid, and that sometimes that's the hardest thing to get as a young player, to say, I'm just going to go make plays instead of worrying about making mistakes. And he's, at least in a short time frame and the small sample size, has shown the ability to take chances and try and make plays and not worry about making mistakes.
All right, so speaking of pace, Paul Rothrock, we'll take a look at his goal.
They play it short and quick. Rusnak gets it back. Rothrock. Oh! Ask and you shall receive, Taylor Twellman.
Because I got you in here. How many of those have you had, and how do those feel?
Well, I get more of those than I get headers because I don't want to go in there and fight with the big guys. So, but the most impressive thing is just pulls back away to find some space, and it's a subtle movement. It's not running hard. He just, the space is away from goal, and then once he gets it, he's willing to take a chance, and step into it.
Okay, we'll play the end of this celebration, and then we'll just watch the goal again. See, just like you said, in terms of the spacing.
I mean, I don't want to make the comparison, but how many times do you see Messi just pull back away from where everybody is and find that space at the top of the box? And this, he starts relatively deep, and he just drifts away, and no one comes with him until it's too late. But he starts in there. He starts in the box.
Right. Okay.
And here he just starts pulling back, and no one comes with him.
That's Rusnak, right? If I remember.
Yeah. Yes.
So it takes his vision as well.
Hits this. Jesus Ferreira, is he impeding into the view of Hasal? But make no mistake about it, the technique, the pace was hit perfectly. That is going to be very, very difficult for VAR to determine whether or not.
Now hold up. So just taking on this discussion about, and we'll go back in a minute, taking on this discussion about, when offside or not, when do when are you in the goalie's way? I thought don't you? If the striker's offside, Isn't that in my mind? And don't I have to account for that? He might not be in my sight of vision, but it's something in my calculation to make the play, correct?
Well, yes, but no, because well, they always are. Otherwise, they would go back to the old rule, and anybody that's offside, well, we need to consider them. What if they become active? So the fact that he's not interfering with the play, if he's not in his direct line of sight, in some ways, it's your fault if you're worried about a guy that's offside. You should know he's offside. So he shouldn't. If he gets in your way, that's different.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Now in the old days, if you were offside, you're offside. There was no such thing as passive. In fact, if you roll back to those old 1974 videos of Holland pulling an offside trap, they just would charge out at the ball, knowing doesn't matter if we only need to catch one guy standing back there. So it's a good change. And, if you look how early the goalie dove there, obviously he could see. He just couldn't get there.
That's fair. I mean, how could we not, if we're going to view goals, how do we not look at Jordan Morris's goal? Can you see that?
Yeah, this is really good movement and a really good little vision and ball by Rothrock here. And here he comes across the field, and then that's great off the ball movement, just holding your run, and Rothrock just rolling into that space for him rather than trying to feed it right to him. Plays it where he can run to it, and it doesn't get much better than that.
I will watch it one more, and then maybe we'll slow it down so our viewers can see exactly what you're.
Sounders lead 3-1. Just great combination play and patience from the Seattle Sounders. Paul Rothrock has been running ragged down the left side. He comes all the way to the right side.
So sorry, I've got two screens. I always have to go back to.
Combination play and patience from the Seattle Sounders.
And also Jordan getting back on side and not lollygagging here.
Yeah, and he just sits in that space, and then he doesn't run until Rothrock's ready to pass, which is one of the important things. Too often players make runs when the guy that has the ball isn't in a position to pass, and you either gone offside or you've killed the space you want to go into. He's patient here, and Rothrock's ready to play. And so once he's in a position to play, then he goes, and the timing's perfect.
Yeah, I'm starting to see because I talked to your friend Preki, whatever, and I'm just starting. I don't know. You tell me because y'all are kind of birds of the same feather, and there seems to be more awareness in the pocket and in the space. Is that fair to say that?
Yeah, I think they're looking to find those spaces, and they're looking to penetrate more. I think they used to get in those little pockets at times that just were content to go backwards or keep possession. Now they're getting in these spaces and going somewhere.
All right. So what's also interesting, not that you would do that, but I like the fact that you also have another runner here. But
you want those guys on different levels. So when
right.
They all up across. See, now the defender's got to decide they're going to drop, they're going to stay. As it turns out, he picks the more dangerous option.
Sorry, I want to go back to what you're saying in terms of different levels here so people can see. And that's what you mean by different levels, right? There's this here, and then there's this here, and this individual has to make this decision, correct? Obviously, it's that one. I don't know if I can.
Yeah, you just when they all get in a line, one player can cut off two or three. This forces decisions, and it gives you options to. If Jordan makes that hard run and everyone drops with him, then I think it's Rusnak up there. Then he's all by himself. As it is, he could find him in behind, so he did. But if they had all dropped to cover that, then he's rolling the ball to the 18 for someone to shoot. So they got options.
Yeah, and that's you don't have to make this one. I mean, if he made this run and clear, but I mean, you to your point, if you fake that, you can still go here, and that's a pretty good shot online, as we're going to see. Yeah, Rodin's okay. And now, lucky or good, or does it matter?
Yeah. Yes.
All right, let's leave it at that. Oh, he hit him in the wickets. Down the road he went.
Yeah, and if you lift the ball at all, you hit him. So the fact that you keep it on the ground gives you that chance. And he's got 87, so we'll give him. And I've seen a few of them go there, so we'll give him credit for picking that spot.
No, absolutely. All right, the other one, just a sweet one, is this one, Christian Rodin. So we'll go back to that one.
Bell stepping forward now into the middle. Albert Rusnak. Christian rolled on. Still rolled on. Left foot. Oh,
all right. Tell me about this move here, Peter, on a high and what it takes, because these are some of the moves, you talk about Holland, Bergkamp, Messi, Henry, and I know I'm not pumping you up, but it's the truth. This is some of the stuff you were known for. The nuance, just of dropping the head and going left here. Take us through this move by Rodin.
Okay, so here he does a great job of he uses the run because the runner on his right, and I can't make out who that is. Yep,
it's his brother.
Okay, yeah, he does well to ignore him. Don't give it the little brother there, but he used the run, and I always tell players when someone makes that run for you, you have to use it. That doesn't mean you have to pass to him. But he uses him as a decoy because you watch the defender gambles and steps outside to cut off that pass, opening it up for him to come inside. And then he's got the confidence to use his off foot and, to score from outside the box.
Okay, so we're going to see the run here, and we'll see the gamble. I'm sorry.
Nope, see, here he comes. So he steps outside of him to cut off this pass.
Oh, here.
Yep.
So he lunges almost, right?
Yeah.
So he's lunging because because this almost like, zone read, run, or leaving defense. We're in this sector right here. We're attacking it. And you're saying because of this run here,
the defender has to think of something other than just the dribble. So it opens it up for him to come inside.
And that's just that split second for him, to kind of acknowledge, yet with the intent of, I know if I acknowledge he's off balance, I can cut inside. Because there's no way he's going to lunge this to his left, correct? I'm
They're never going to get back to you. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll watch it. Oh my gosh. All right, one more look.
I'm not sure why the second defender bit to that side too, but he opens up his hips a little bit. Whoop, now back inside.
Yeah, he doesn't go to react.
Let's say it's just a little subtle movement. Like he opens his hips a tiny bit, like he's going to pass that ball out, and then just closes them back up and comes inside and doesn't try and kill it, just finds the corner.
Okay, all right. I mean, because isn't that what something that Messi is, and then some other players, you can name, but it's that dip, right, or whatever that I don't know, the hip, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, just a little misdirection, and then instead of trying to kill the ball, just really it's just a firm pass into the corner. He doesn't smash that ball, but a lot of goals are scored by just putting the ball where the goalie can't get to it. You don't need to kill it every time.
Okay, so what do we got tonight? So here the Sounders are. Here's the other thing. So they beat LAFC 5-2. They won 1-1. Goal scored 7, tied for third. Assist, which I think is huge. They're seventh. I mean, they're 7. We're tied for second. Goals conceded, tied for sixth. Are you concerned?
Yeah, I was concerned with the way they gave away some of the goals early. The last game, everyone's like, well, they gave away 2. If you're going forward enough to score 5, you're going to leave some gaps. You can't say we're going to risk and go forward and never have any gaps. I mean, the one goal the kid scores in the second half, 1, he makes a wonderful run. 2, he gets the benefit of he actually loses the ball and gets it back, and then holds his composure. And I think, could they have done a little more? Sure, but it's what do you want? Do you want to play and say we're going to be safe in the back all the time? That's what it's one of the biggest complaints I've heard in the last few years is, we don't take enough chances. We don't go forward enough. Well, now we score 5 and someone goes, well, we gave up 2. The last I checked, that's 3 more than they do have. So who cares? If you're gonna finish chances, you can take some chances. And I think most of us would rather see a 5-2 game than a 1-0 game. So you're gonna give away some chances if you're opening it up enough to try and get forward and score. So,
I mean, what happened? Change in philosophy? I know you said that they're finding those pockets, but what was the shift? I mean, how do you get the team to shift like that, Peter?
Well, I think some of it's the personnel. You've got guys. Ferreira looks to go forward. He looks to find those gaps. Ariola, when he's in, he looks to go forward. Georgie for sure looks to be direct. A lot of times he wants to go, and he's going to lose it sometimes. But he's also going to make wonderful plays like he did to set up the last goal in the game. I think Rusnak's goal when he dances his way to the end line, and then, unlike the week before when we were talking about him making the wrong decision, picks his head up, pulls the ball back to the edge of the 6 for an easy finish. It's easy to say we should go forward, but they've got personnel that can make things happen now. And the final piece was to finish those chances. Rothrock wants to go at people. Georgie wants to go at people. Ferreira wants to go at people. So they have guys that can cause problems, and they're getting those guys in forward positions where they can do it. We don't see Nuhu all the way up there as often as we did, who would get up the edge of the box and turn around and go backwards because that's not really his game, So now it's Rothrock getting the ball in those situations, or De La Vega, and instead of getting, when Brad Smith or Jones used to play at that left back and came steaming around the outside, great.
That's right.
That was part of their game. It's not really Nuhu's strength. His strength is to defend. And so now you've got guys that are in those positions and they're one-on-one and they're willing to take people on. And I don't care what anybody says, defenders don't like people running at them. It's a terrible feeling to be having someone run at you that will go left or right, and especially when you're right near the box, because you're afraid to get a tackle in. And they've got a number of guys that are doing that now. And I think people will say, well, because Brian, he's got guys that can do it. If you have guys that aren't good at one-on-one players and they keep getting the ball in those positions, you want them to keep possession. So I think they have players that can beat players in those wide positions more often. And now they're getting better at making the final decision when they get in those positions.
All right. I think we got 2 minutes. Tonight, 0-0. Cruz Azul, they had some players. Some of their strikers didn't fly up here. And what are your takes on tonight? Some keys or thoughts?
I think they got to go score goals. I don't think they can sit and just defend. And to be fair, they had the better chances. Sounders did. Cruz Azul had the ball a fair amount, but Sounders had the better chances in the game at home. Got to maybe finish one, but in a game coming off 5 goals, they should have the confidence to go and try and make plays. And if you get one, Cruz Azul's in real trouble because they need 2 then. One doesn't even get them to overtime. So, 0-0 doesn't do any good. You need to score a goal. And I think if they keep going with the attitude they've had, there's a decent chance to go score. It'll be hard. There's going to be some times where they're going to have to suffer because playing at altitude, Cruz Azul will have the ball and you'll have to chase and you'll have to be disciplined and smart. But I think they'll get chances. They've got chances every game. They just have to stick a couple away, or at least one.
All right. Just fantastic stuff. Thank you again. He is Peter Hatrip. How about that? USA Soccer correspondent. Also legend. We might as well put legend up there. Peter, thank you so much for your time. And we will talk soon. Have a great day.
Sounds good.
All right. Yep, there he is. That's a legend. I mean, you want to talk soccer, bring the best of the best. And, he coaches, he teaches, he plays, he's played, he's all that. And we're just lucky to have him to break down. All right. So that does it for this week of Seattle Sports Weekly. Thank you, D Money. And again, thank you to Peter Hatrip. And we'll see y'all next week.